Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Yeah, 'tis I. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing better than I am, because I find myself in a serious funk. And that has to do with having ingested the news of the day, which is, of course, what I use as my fodder. And I maybe am going to rethink maybe doing a cooking show instead, just for my own mental health. Actually, for my own mental health, I am thrilled today to not be doing this by myself, but to have a guest for the hour, and a very special one at that. He's one of us, this community that we've created. His name is Milton Holt. And Milton, I am just thrilled that you're here. How you doing?
Hi, Lynn. How are you?
Well, I'm fine.
Hello?
Nice to hear your voice.
Hey, I got to tell you, it is such an honor to be talking to you. We've never actually spoken except for the brief time that we've met down at the Post-Gazette, and it's great to be talking to you.
Thank you.
And great to be talking to your audience, too.
Okay. Are you talking, your voice sounds a little far away and you're not on speaker, are you?
No, I'm not on speaker. Is that any better? I am in a headset, though.
I don't know.
Any better?
Yeah, that feels a little better to me, but that ain't saying much. I'm a half-deaf old fart, but I think so.
Well, yeah.
Uh-oh. Did I lose you? Did I lose you? Oh, damn it. Hang on. I am trying to get him back. I did not want this to happen. Hang on, guys. We have a slight snafu.
Hi, thanks so much for calling. Sorry I missed you. This is Milt.
I'm trying to call you. Hi. Hello.
Please record your message.
No, my message is
recording. You may hang up
all
or
right.
Press 1 for more options.
Okay, I'm out of here. Okay. I'm hoping Milton will just call back. Yeah, he has, I think. Milton! Hang on. Milton!
Hello, Liz.
What the F?
Hello.
Hi.
I got kicked off. I got kicked off. I was right.
Do you think I did
I
that?
was right in the middle.
Listen.
You know what? There's an excellent possibility that I did that, but I haven't touched my phone or anything. So
okay, well, so then the excellent possibility.
Sure.
Well, listen. Odds are 'twas I, and then on top of it, I tried calling you back and got your message. And so if later you're listening to your messages and you hear me muttering, you'll know what that's about. So enough of this. Listen, as long as I have you, I have to tell.
We're good to go.
What?
We're good to go.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Damn.
Okay.
Okay. Milton was saying that the only time we've ever physically or even spoken, right, to each other.
Right. We've never even had a phone conversation.
No, we have not. So it's so nice to hear your voice. For those of you who are curious, I put a picture of Milton and I up on my Facebook page the one time we met, which was at a rally in front of the old Post-Gazette building to try to get the PG, how absurd of us to think, to rethink having gotten rid of their wonderful political cartoonist Rob Rogers. So it was a protest against his firing.
Right. And I was on my way out of town, but I wanted to make sure that I at least stopped by and got to meet you, and so I stopped by and yelled at the Post-Gazette building for a minute and
We took a picture.
gave you a hug, and I was done. Pardon me?
We took a picture, and then you left. Yeah, that's what happened.
We did, and I was done. Right.
And that
So
was
I'm curious, what news of the day? What news of the day is it that you are upset about?
Well, it's nothing all that new. It's actually, well, what really set me off is the Republicans and the verbiage, the fact that they are openly calling it, and this is all of them. I mean, just everyone. There's not a courageous person to be found. They're all calling for the weaponization of the Justice Department, of any district attorneys or attorneys general in red states to go after Democrats in those states. And then I think what really tipped me over was learning that the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, has put one of the leading insurrectionists who is under investigation by the FBI, whose phone was seized by the FBI, that is Congressional Representative Scott Perry of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. He has put Perry on the House Intelligence Committee.
Yeah, he was one of two appointments yesterday.
The other appointment being the drunken doctor who was Trump's doctor, Johnson, Ronnie Johnson.
Right. Exactly. Well, that's like putting the woman who was actually a fake elector in charge of election integrity for the Republican National Congress.
So sometimes I can laugh like I just did, but it's not funny. It is terrifying. It is. I feel like I'm living in some crazy place. Everything upside down.
Well, I always say everything's so upside down. I expect any day to wake up and find Roseanne Barr on the cover of the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition and Liberace on the cover of Field and Stream.
Why not?
Everything is so bad. And here's the thing that gets me, like, all of this, I turned on Morning Joe this morning, and I could watch it for only a few minutes before I turned on C-SPAN and just had to be rejuvenated by the D-Day coverage from France.
Yeah.
Because I think that we're at a point where the Republican Party, I guess, doesn't even acknowledge and isn't aware of the history and gets up every day and tries to convince us all that we're so miserable and that we're so empty and that all of our institutions that were upheld by so much sacrifice are worthless. And it's so frustrating.
Well, there you go. But it is that juxtaposition that has me feeling so hollowed out. It's the fact that, this is the 80th anniversary of D-Day, when my father's generation of young men, mostly, gave their lives, their limbs, their sanity, their futures to defend the very Constitution that the Republicans now are just. I'm terrified. I feel like I'm living in. You had mentioned to me that after World War I, the German people truly were beset and besieged by horrific a horrific reality. They were suffering, and that is fertile ground for an authoritarian to rise. And an authoritarian did, Adolf Hitler. And yet, as you just said, so we have the Republicans now trying to tell Americans that they are now bereft, bedeviled in a horrible place. And it's not true. It's not
No,
true.
it's not true. I call it manufactured, marketed, mendacious misery.
There it is.
It's not real at all.
No.
But it's a means to stay in power. It's a means to achieve and stay in power. If you can convince Americans that they're miserable and that nothing is worth anything, well then, and that you're the answer to their misery. It's the thing that gets me is that I don't even think that most Americans think that they're miserable. And that's what gets me. I mean, if you drive through a suburban strip and look at Olive Garden parking lot on a Friday night, or look at the mall parking lot on a Friday night, these aren't miserable, or a food court in a mall on a Friday night. These people aren't miserable. We're not miserable. We're not making any great sacrifice. For the most part, we're happy. But when it comes to our politics, we've been convinced that we have been robbed of something that we don't want and aren't entitled to. It's ridiculous.
Yesterday I found myself in a part of the greater Pittsburgh area that I am rarely in, and that's the South Hills, I guess, sort of Castle Shannon and around in there. And I'm driving. I'm driving down this through this lovely neighborhood on Sleepy Hollow Road. And
I know exactly what that is.
Okay, and I'm looking at these lovely houses, brick houses, that are exactly the kind of houses that I was talking about yesterday being gobbled up by corporations, so they're unavailable to maybe first-time home buyers as starter homes. I mean, just, they're beautiful, little, well-kept. The neighborhood was lovely, tree-lined, and I cannot tell you how many Trump signs I saw in those yards, upside down flag, other flags. And I was thinking, why does the flag on this lovely bucolic street, why does it seem like a finger, like a middle finger? Like it's not put there. It's put there to like stick a middle finger in my eye. It's like it's not put there with the kind of grace that it should be. There's a fierceness. There's a ugliness to it, and it's meant to be that way, right? Like a fist.
Well, that's what you get for electing a black president. That's what that's about. At least, I don't think that all people who are Trump supporters feel that way, but I think a great deal of them. HBO did a special on the 2008 election.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning of the special, they start with the McCain campaign's headquarters on election night. And they show the crowd as the announcement from ABC News came that Barack Obama had in fact secured 270 votes and that he had won the election and that McCain had lost. And I remember watching that special and watching as they panned across the crowd. This was a crowd, and I watch a lot of politics. I've been watching politics since I was in high school. This was a crowd not full of people who had lost, felt as though their candidate had lost an election. This was a crowd of people who looked as though their reality had been wholly upended. It was like they had just walked onto the surface of Mars. The impossible had happened. Not just that their candidate had lost, but he had lost to somebody who in their minds, they had never considered being president. And I think that for a large swath of people, that was a reality that they just couldn't handle, which gave rise to where's the birth certificate? That would not have been an issue with any other American president.
No.
To that point, where's the birth certificate? You can't imagine, somebody questioning Nixon's birthright president.
Well,
and I think that even that, I think that the result of that is that for a lot of people, and I think that this happens in society a lot with Black people, and how the greater society looks at us Black people. Once we achieve something that was once the height of white culture and the white world, position is devalued.
It's what? It's devalued.
And I think that's why you go from it's devalued. That's how you go from Barack Obama to Donald Trump. Donald Trump could never, just because of the person he was, could never have been elected president if it weren't for Barack Obama. Because Barack Obama, even though he was a fantastic leader, a great man, and absolutely had a pristine administration as far as scandal is concerned.
Right.
For a lot of people, that position is now sullied. So why not throw everything else out? Why not throw out the Constitution? Because if it is attainable by the people who were never supposed to be in a position to attain it, it must not be as valuable as we thought it was.
Yeah. Oh God.
And it's sad.
Well, I have to tell you, I do agree totally that Barack Obama's election and then the mind-boggling to them re-election really made a lot of white Americans' heads explode. Whether they were even conscious of it or not. And that the great white hope turns out to be this empty buffoon, Donald Trump. Jesus, that's their great white hope. Wow.
But as he said, I am your retribution.
Yeah.
Donald Trump possesses nothing but the rhetoric of vengeance that a lot of people just cherish. Those people whose homes you drove by yesterday with the flags up, he's saying exactly that's not, hope for a new future. It's the resurrection of ideals.
I'm sorry. I'm seeing that beautiful neighborhood again. And knowing that inside those houses are people that are so enraged and I'm again, it makes it, I feel like I'm living in insanity, just insanity. How dare those people I feel somehow dispossessed or put upon when they're living in a much more wonderful kind of way as I look at their neighborhood than 90% of the globe. I mean, what the hell? And
look, it no matter who you are, if you're living in America right now, I don't care if you're living in a homeless encampment on 2nd Street. If you wake up in America in this day and age, you are literally living better than 98% of the people who ever existed on the face of
the who ever lived.
And the fact that whoever lived.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in that, we bitch and moan and complain about the 1%. But just by being Americans on Earth, so how bad is it really? And it's frustrating because there is this rhetoric of anger,
grievance,
and resentment,
grievance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I just think is manufactured. It's not real.
No.
Not if we look at our lives. Not if we look at our lives with any degree of gratitude, which is, I think that there are 2 words that over my lifetime I have seen diminish from common use, especially when it comes to personal philosophy. And those 2 words are sacrifice and gratitude.
Ha.
We haven't, even, I'm 55 years old. My generation of people en masse has never been asked to sacrifice anything except for our families and ourselves. But on a national level, we've not been asked to sacrifice. And because we have not been asked to sacrifice, we lack the gratitude for who we are and what our position as Americans and what our position in the world bestows upon us. And I think that's so sad. Because, instead of conquering real problems, which is something that we're very equipped to do, instead of, like, for instance, the housing issue, these are, and the fact that corporations are buying up, and it's happening here in Columbus too. They're buying up single family houses that will never, and they've said it, will never go on the market again as single family dwellings. They will always be rentals. We're Americans, and we're in a position where our government affords us the ability to handle that problem. But because we're not gracious, and because we don't know about sacrifice, we're fighting we're fighting battles that we won 50 years ago. Why is abortion in our conversation now? This was a victory that we won in 1973. And the only reason we're revisiting it is because a group of people who are politically void of purpose want to stay in power. So we're going backwards. I'm sorry, I'm rambling.
I love it.
I'm on your show.
No, I love it. I'm sitting.
I'm sorry.
No. I love it. And, as you're talking, ranting, whatever you're doing, you're making a lot of sense and you're making me think. I'm thinking that this sense of grievance and is not just something I want to make clear as you're saying that. I'm thinking not just of the Trump folk and their grievance, but I'm thinking of the folks on our side, supposedly, because the left is filled with nothing but grievance. I don't know. Do you see gratitude expressed on the left any more than you do on the right? The sense of America as being a good place on the left? No.
Oh, here's Well, no, I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. I mean, on the left, what I see is a misdirected intellectual and academic argument.
Well, without a
And
doubt.
I see people who are smart, who are prepared, and who are willing to handle problems. It's just that I don't know if they've been fed the wrong problems to handle, or if they've been misdirected toward the wrong problems to handle. But I am baffled by college students who are willing to camp out during the spring of the second semester and the thing that they're addressing is Israel. I mean, come on. A year ago, 50% of the population of this country had its 50-year-long right taken away. And you're protesting about a 2,000-year-old conflict 5,000 miles away? I mean, I have no problem with protests. I have no problem with, students camping out and making their voices heard. But let's address something that is A, closer to home, and B, for our female population, which means it's for our population as a whole, is a lot more important, at least to me. The healthcare and rights of women being taken away for me as an American is a much bigger deal than what's happening in Israel. And I'm like a huge Zionist.
You're a huge what? What? A Zionist?
Zionist. I'm a huge Zionist. I absolutely am. Yes, very much so.
Whoa.
That's why I put you in touch with Alyssa Wald.
Yes.
I know. I probably shouldn't have mentioned that. But yeah, I'm a huge supporter of Israel. And yes.
Huh.
Very much so.
Well, now,
yeah.
Whoa. So you don't fit neatly into the boxes, Milton. You can't.
No.
You're a black man. Wait, you're a black man in America. You think America is like the people should stop bitching and have some gratitude for what they have here. And you're a Zionist? What the hell?
I'm a Zionist. Yes, I'm a Zionist. Yeah, I know. It's and I have been for a very long time. Maybe we'll talk about that.
Okay, yeah, that'd be interesting. But
yes,
have you ever been to Israel?
No, I have not.
Oh, I hope
I
you can.
Not.
It's
That's
mind blowing.
definitely on the bucket list.
Mm.
That's definitely on the bucket list.
Okay.
Yeah.
But speaking as we haven't fleshed you out at all here, but you were born and raised in Pittsburgh?
I was.
Yeah.
I was. I lived in Pittsburgh for all but a year of my life up until 2011. And I moved here to Columbus.
Well, now you're in that god-awful red state next door.
It really is. I am in shock every day that Sherrod Brown was one of our two senators.
How is that possible?
I really am.
How does he do that? He's a magician.
Well, you know what? Both he and his daughter is on the city council of Columbus, are both really wonderful, really charming people, both very smart, and I think Sherrod Brown's success is because he is very much an issues candidate.
Yeah.
He's a very pragmatic senator. And I think that has a large swath of of appeal, even in this very red state.
And you know, Milton, correct me if I'm wrong, but I have the sense that he is the genuine article of what a Democrat used to be. I don't think he's a millionaire. He's probably one of the poorest senators there are, right?
I don't think he's, well,
He's a man of the people than all the others.
yeah, but when you're talking about senators, I don't think there's any senators who aren't millionaires. But then again, you have to remember that to somebody in that position, $1 million isn't a lot of money.
No, it's nothing.
I know that he's. I would agree with you that he's definitely one of the poorest senators, but that does not mean that he's not a millionaire.
Oh, God help us. I've been sending him money.
Yeah, I've sent him money too. And and let me tell you, anybody in your audience is thinking about donating to a political campaign, please do it through your computer and not on your phone. Because what will happen is I get no joke, 75 text messages a day.
Me too.
Since I gave to Fetterman, when I gave to Fetterman 3-4 years ago, every election cycle, beginning 6 months before the election, it's every other text message I get is from a different campaign.
Me too.
And the longer it goes on, the more campaigns I get. I got, and I love Jasmine Crockett. Don't get me wrong. I think she's great. But like, Jasmine, I'm not going to, like, you're in Texas. I'm in Ohio. I'm not going to give to your campaign. I'm just not in a position to do that. So why am I getting three requests to support your campaign a week?
Me too. Big mistake.
Yeah.
Hey, Delana has said,
on a computer and don't include your phone number. Pardon me?
Oh, Susan just texted me and saying, "Hi, Milton, enjoying you," she's saying. That's my sister.
Oh, wow. I know. I enjoy Susan every week.
Yeah.
I enjoy her every week. I love when your brother's on too, like once a year.
Well, I don't even. He is so negative and morose that I can't bear having him on anymore, because he used to be more funnier, and he's sort of lost that. But maybe we could get him on. I don't know. By the way, Delana.
I love what he does.
Okay, Delana on chat says, from my understanding, Zionist just means you support the existence of Israel as a Jewish state. Sounds like a low bar to me. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, she's saying so not to. Why wouldn't you think of all the states that are? Why can't the Jews have one?
Oh, right, definitely, and that's what Zionism is. The Jews deserve to have a state,
and Absolutely. It's not as if we don't have, if we don't have a history there. For God's sake,
the whole deal is one dude. It's one dude. If it's literally because Abraham couldn't keep it in his pants. Literally, this whole thing, this whole deal, is all because Abraham couldn't keep it in his pants.
Well, listen. You would you expand upon that for the?
And I shouldn't trivialize that much. Well, what happened was, according to the Torah and according to the Bible, when Abraham decided to throw in with God and become his first ever representative on earth, God promised Abraham that he would have a son to carry on the new Jewish religion practice, religious practice. And Abraham kept getting older. His wife Sarah kept not having a baby. She really wanted to have a child, but she was, in the words that they use in the Bible, barren. And so finally, even though God had made them the promise that they would have a son, they became impatient, and Sarah offered her handmaid Hagar to Abraham. And sure enough, Hagar gets pregnant with Ishmael.
Is it Ishmael?
She gets pregnant. She has a son.
All right. Well,
is Ishmael?
I don't know, but that's where you're saying the split right there. What?
Right there.
Right there.
That split happens right there. And that line from Hagar sent off away from, because Sarah still doesn't have a baby, and she's very jealous, and she can't stand the sight of Hagar suckling her new son. And so they're sent off, and Abraham continues to take care of them, but they aren't allowed back into that area where they are. And then a couple of years later, Sarah gets pregnant and has Isaac. And that's the Jewish people. And the Ishmael is the line that became a Muslim.
Yeah.
So it's one guy. It's one guy. 2,000 years later, actually.
Well, not like 4,000 years ago. I don't know what the hell. It's just, we're all insane.
Right.
You know, here's the greatest threat, I think. And it's what I've learned in the last decade or so. And I talk about it often. It's us. It's human nature. Why is it that we're so given to the negatives? Why is an entire Republican Party gone over the deep end and into this morass of ugliness and vengefulness, and when nothing's happened to them? I mean, what the hell? Why does it resonate with us humans, this kind of negativity? You don't have to answer.
My thinking, well, I understand, but let me just offer this. I don't think that is something that permeates all of humanity. I think that it is something that is substantially more prevalent in men. And since we live in a society that is basically a patriarchy, that we get war. I think if things were more even as far as distribution of power between men and women, there would be. And I know that sounds very radical feminist, but I think that that's very much the case. I think that men know how to, and on some level, enjoy war and conflict and disagreement much more than women.
Oh, God.
So that's why I'm not sure if that's true or not, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Well, I know Susan would be saying. Susan is saying that's true. That's true. I know I can hear from here. Hey, have you ever heard of an idiot in Congress named? Let me get his name here. Byron Donalds.
Oh my goodness! He's the chicken George. This guy is the chicken George of Congress. Actually, do you remember Chicken George?
Vaguely.
The Roots. Um, he's I could go on for hours about people like Byron Donalds, Candace Owens, black people who are willing to. Who's the guy? Who's the pizza guy who died because he got COVID at a
Don't ask me for names.
Trump.
I know who you're talking about, but I can't think. But yeah, so what is it as a particular?
I'm vexed by these.
Well,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I always want to say, as you're saying that, as a black man looking at these black people, doing what they do, I'm looking at a picture right now of a Jew, Stephen Miller, who might be the worst human being ever. And he's the one calling for the weaponization of, vengeance under Trump. And as a Jew, I look at him and just cringe. But Byron Donalds, he was on the floor of the House or something. He was praising the Jim Crow era. Did you hear that?
Right.
God.
Well, I actually did not. What was he saying? I can't believe I'm going to ask this.
Okay, here's what I have here.
What was old Byron saying?
He was praising the Jim Crow era. He said because during Jim Crow, the black family was together. Yeah, they were together cowering under their beds. He blamed Lyndon Johnson and the civil rights movement for eroding family values. Hakeem Jeffries on the House floor said to him, "Hey, check yourself before you wreck yourself." And Jim Harrison,
how did I miss this?
I don't know. And Jamie Harrison said, "These fools have lost their damn minds." I don't know.
Actually, there is a trope that I've heard all of my life, and I'm not giving any credence to it, but let me tell you where that thinking about LBJ comes from. It is the feeling, and it was the feeling, and it was the mantra of the black church in the 70s and 80s. What welfare and food stamps and the war against poverty and Johnson's war against poverty did was enable the individual black woman the ability to take care of her children that may or may not have been born in wedlock. And because the government was providing that, she no longer had to go to the church for that. And since the church had been the center of the black community, when LBJ offered, or when the United States began to take care of some of the more material needs of young families and young black unwed mothers, that diminished the power of the church, which gave them less ability to reinforce the black family. And there was there's, some of the more paranoid would say that was a plot by the white government to and it's absolutely ridiculous. But that's where that rhetoric from Byron Donalds comes from. It's something that was endorsed for a while, especially by the Black Baptist Church and especially by the Black Evangelical Church. And it's a bunch of hokum. But, Byron wants to resurrect it as part of his ode to Donald Trump and his loyalty to Donald Trump. And it sounds just as ridiculous as Stephen Miller does.
Oh, God help us. Hey, something else that's scaring the hell out of me, and it's away from political for a second, and that is AI. And I saw an article the other day about how more scientists working with OpenAI are freaking out and are saying that the folks at the helm are just being reckless, and that we could and the scientists that are speaking out don't sound like crazy people, but they're scared, and they're saying we could literally upend humanity, and some are saying in as much as in like 4 or 5 years, because it's uncontrolled and governments can't get ahead of it. And
Yeah,
I don't understand it, but I know that we're about to go into a very dark place with this stuff.
yeah, and I am equally as frightened, because I think that the place that we're in right now is much darker than we know it. Because I think that with AI, we have so little control over it that it is, I think the horse has already left the barn, as far as controlling it and controlling where it could be. And I know that sounds weird, but
no,
it's almost like an international criminal that can hide all of its components in any individual PC and survive.
That's right.
And I don't think that we can. I don't think that we can track it. And I do. You know, NPR, not all things considered, This American Life did a story this week about AI program that was actually disconnected, taken down in 2022, and it was asked to write poems, and at first it wasn't very good, and then it got better. And the story is really interesting, because if you listen to it, they actually get the film director Werner Herzog, to read some of this computer-generated AI's poetry, and it's very amusing. But in the final part of the story, the program is aware of the fact that it is going to be discontinued, and it writes poems asking not to be discontinued.
Oh my God! It's like hell in 2001.
Yes, exactly. Only much more sentient.
Oh.
And the metaphor and simile that is used by this AI program is very frightening.
Oh my God!
It does not give you the impression. That this entity is going to go away willingly. I don't know how much of that is my imagination. Listen to the story for yourself. It's the last part of this past week's This American Life. I think it's the last or the second to the last story, but it's frightening. It's very frightening. So I think that you're right to be nervous.
Well, so what goes first? American democracy, my sanity, or life as we know it? I want to sort of rank my fears now here.
Oh.
Wow.
I have no idea. I can't rank
it. So, how do you feel? Because you have
map the route of the apocalypse. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, but how do you? I know you have grandchildren, right? Or a grandchild,
Yes, two
children.
granddaughters.
Well, how do you, I mean, when you look at her sweet face, what do you, and the world she's going to inhabit, don't you just like get queasy?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I tell my son and his partner all of the time because, you know, both of their girls were very intentional. That I think that sometimes I think that they're foolhardy, and sometimes I think because they're both pretty intelligent and pretty well-read people, that they're very brave. I don't know that I would have the courage to have kids now, even though, you know, I have a kid, he's 33 years old. I don't know if right now I would have a child.
I agree with you.
And I think probably that's the way that's one of the big reasons why I'm all about gratitude and sacrifice and how good things are here, because I want that to be I want more people to feel positively about the future so that my grandchildren can have a positive. And I think if everybody's mad at each other right now, what's it going to be like in 20 years? So that's why I'm always hopeful.
Well, given our conversation, how the hell are we supposed to feel hopeful?
Well, first of all, we're supposed to feel hopeful because this conversation can happen over the internet for anyone who wants to listen to it. A lot of places where this conversation could not happen.
That is true. And again, gratitude to the democracy we have at the moment. Yeah.
And gratitude for the systems who allow this type of technology to exist. I think.
Yeah. Then there's the other side of the coin.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, we keep talking over each other. I'm going to shut up. I'm going to shut up.
That's okay. No, you go ahead.
No, I have nothing to say. I've entered the muttering stage.
I think that we're very fortunate, and all it takes to vanquish a lot of the evils that we're seeing. Maybe not AI, but a lot of the political and social evils that we see. I think all it takes is just a little bit more gratitude and a little bit more sacrifice. We've got to just a bit more appreciate what it is that we have and be willing to preserve it becoming greater in the future. And I understand how strange that sounds coming from a Black man living in America. But I also believe that, like, more than anybody else, Black people believe in democracy in America and what is possible. Because for the majority of our history in this country, all we had was hope. So it's not at all difficult for us to continue to hope. It's just what we do.
You know, that's interesting that you say that, because I've been thinking, you know, the despair I feel and all of this, and I've been thinking that Black Americans have been schooled in, you know, I guess this level of despair for much longer than I, and are more resilient. Do you think that's true?
Well, I don't know. I don't know when you say school that gives to. I don't think it's something that we teach as much as we innately practice, and it's not anything that we do because, you know, we're smarter or we're more with it or we're more in touch. It's literally because for so long it's all we have. All you have is hope. And when all you have is hope, you find ways to make it flourish. So I think that's why, even though, with Black people and the American Indian, we've suffered so much in this country, but we have prevailed, and we have prevailed through hope. So it's not at all difficult for us to continue to have that hope. Because now we have other things. We have political power, we have education, we have, our communities such as they are. We have the support of a large swath of, the dominant culture, which is white people. And we didn't have any of that before. So we've actually come a long way. So it's not difficult for us to continue to have hope. For so much of our history, our mantra was that old Yiddish mantra. Have you ever heard it? Lord, if you will not end our suffering, send us more tears.
No.
Yeah. That's an old. I don't know what it is in Yiddish.
But you're saying so that's a Yiddish thing, but the Black community took it in.
But no, I'm not saying that they took it in word for word. I'm saying that they took it in practice.
Yeah.
And it's part of our philosophy. Like, that's all we have. If we're not gonna suffer, send us the tears to cry about our suffering. But we're gonna prevail to another day.
Boy.
And I think that's where we are now, unless your name is Byron Donalds.
How do they live with themselves? It's beyond me. Oh my!
I don't know. I think of Byron Donaldson. I think of a lot of my relatives saying, "Don't waste your time on people that Harriet Tubman would have left behind."
Oh God! Do you have any sense of your family history in terms of what they endured? How far back can you go? Do you know?
No. The furthest back that I can go is on either side is about 1880. That's as far back as I can go.
Wow.
So I know that on both sides of my family, both maternally and paternally, they were enslaved people. On my dad's side, it was Alabama and Mississippi and that area. And on my mom's side, it was Virginia. And that's as far back as I can. But yeah. No significant stories.
It's too bad.
I'm sure that if I were on Finding Your Roots with Lewis, it would be the same thing. Well, no, we can only go back to 1880. You might get lucky and get back to 1860. But
Well, I think that's farther.
Every time I watch that show,
yeah, that's farther than I can go back. I think. Jews and blacks have a lot of the same kinds of things. Our histories being wiped out, and
yeah, and I got to say, I don't think that black people appreciate it.
Yeah, I feel that way too.
I don't think the black people appreciate, or at least when I make these generalizations, I don't think that black people appreciate our shared suffering and our shared history.
No.
And I don't think that a lot of black people appreciate the amount that Jewish people have done for black people in America, as far as achieving equality and the sacrifices that Jewish people have made for black equality.
I do agree with you, and I wish it were other than that. I wish it's sad. It's almost like
I'm out here preaching it.
what?
I said I'm out here preaching it.
Okay, good. Well, thank you. Thank you for that. Because it seems like if there were ever two communities that should have so much common interest and ground, it is our two communities. But geez, there's always people quite willing to divide. The dividers are ascendant now. So.
Yeah, but I think when it comes to the Black community, I think that a lot of it is just sort of ignorance. I listened to Summer Lee in the well of Congress, and I just shake my head and say she doesn't know. She just doesn't know. I don't think it's because she's aware and chooses to overlook it. I think she just doesn't know.
She's a highly educated woman. How could she not know? I think there's a sort of a conscious need not to know. I don't know. But we'll go astray if we go there. So, and my God, the time's up. Did we spend an hour?
We spent an hour. And I can't tell you what a treat it's been. And thank you so much. And I'm sorry that I rambled.
What? You were wondrous. And I'm thinking, I'm just going to turn the show over to you. You want a podcast? I'm serious.
No. No way. No way. I could not do what you do every day in a million years. I think that it is great. I love your show. And I love you, Lynn. I really do.
I love you too, Milton. And this has just been such a treat for me. And we should do it again, I think. You're wonderful. And picking your brain and listening to your thoughts does give me hope.
And being bombarded by my verbiage.
So, all right, you. So nice. Thank you
so much. Sorry about the glitch at the start.
Oh, yeah, the glitch at the start. We were, who knows? Oh, God, and now my phone's ringing. Stop. Okay, but, shh. But, okay, I was supposed to have stopped, I can tell. This is we did a bad beginning, and it's having a bad and screwed up end. But in between, I thought wonderful. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. Have a great weekend, Lynn.
You too.
Thank you again. It was really an honor. Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Okay, I think, oh dear, guys. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I. Did I just knock myself off? I did. Did I just knock myself off? Oh. And I screwed up there at the end, and I'm just trying to make sure I leave in a more, I'm being told I'm still on. I hit the wrong button, okay? Jeez. Well, I enjoyed Milton immensely, and I'm sorry I bobbled the beginning and the end, but as I think I was saying, I thought In Between was pretty wonderful, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. And now I'm going to try to play the outro music. Let's see if this works.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.